Hey everyone, welcome to another Haze Reverb update video, and we're going to talk about the update that happened yesterday, and there's also like one thing I missed from last week, which is also in relation to this limited banner. So this banner was up last week, and it was meant to only be up for 3 days, but apparently there was some sort of error which made it last longer than it was meant to, and for some reason this decided to use that as a reason to run the banner again and keep it up for another 3 days. It's not a bad thing, I guess. Like, it's more time for people to get what they want, but it is a bit weird. But anyway, this is like a second chance to get your Hlock or your Belina, depending on what areas you want to focus on. Hlock for PvP, Belina for PvE, or crusade raids primarily. The one thing I missed from last week is you can actually get the limited SR units, and which are Her Majesty and Dorothy. And I think this is very important. You want to make sure you have these units, especially Her Majesty. And yeah, this will be your second chance to get that. So make sure you have at least these units, which you should get along the way from pulling your for your other units that you're chasing. And hopefully you get them right. You just need one copy, and then just use purple reverbs to skill them up easy enough. And yeah, that is the limited banner. Well, it's sort of a rerun. But yeah, now we have a new unit, which is Meria, and she is another limited unit yet again, unfortunately. There's just been so many limited units, so I think I feel it's a bit predatory of how many they're doing recently, but that is a separate issue. But let's go over her skill kit and my recommendation for her. Now, in a nutshell, she's basically a upgraded version of Maybelle or Tina, right? So that's pretty much the similar things, which is buffs crit rate, crit damage, attack, and then she also additionally buffs mobility, which is not like super important, but she does all the damage buffs, right? So a single target buffer, and she has to directly target, right? She can't splash her buff, unlike other units. She has a charm immunity like mechanic, which is I guess makes her usable in PvP, but I don't feel she's going to get that much use in that regard because not that many people run Crim. And that's the main reason to have a charm immunity unit. But if it becomes a problem, then I guess you always have that as an option. But the main thing for her is that she's a single target damage buffer. And the unique thing about her compared to Maybelle and Tina is that she has an EX ability. The EX triggers the same way as Xiao Wu and Nei. She needs 2 units to have died, and then she'll trigger it. Now, the way to use her would be to run a dual DPS setup, because to make use of her buffing kit, of course, she needs to buff her DPS. But if you make her buff your main DPS and you just have 1 DPS on your whole team, the EX is not going to do anything, right? Because it's buffing units that have already moved, right? All your supports would have already moved, your Xiao Wu, your Avadi, all that, right? And therefore, running a dual DPS setup will allow you to run the DPS first, with her buffing that DPS. Then she'll buff all your supports with the EX once you have 2 units dead. And that's obviously the time that you're going for your big overkill damage, right? And then your Xiao Wu and all that, all their support powers are increased, and they'll do an even bigger buff on your main DPS. And yeah, that's like how she would work. And for that reason, I would say she is more of a luxury unit. If you only care about just making sure you kill hell mode difficulty, you don't really need like really fancy units, right? You can just use Maybelle or Tina as your main DPS buffer, and then I usually will have like a fairly easy team made that you can clear hell with, and I would generally avoid using Meria in those teams anyway, because I don't like to use limited units to do like a like an easy mode hell kill method, right? I only use her in the max damage teams. So I say for probably 99% of people, you should just skip this, right? The only reasons you would pull for her would be either you're try-harding crusade raid like I do, or you collect limited units, or you just really like her her design. Fair enough. Those sort of reasons are what you'll be looking at if you want to pull for her. But just keep in mind that we do have a lot of limited units, and if you want to make use of like some units, you do need quite a bit of skill ups into them. Like same for Meria. I think that if you're going to use her in Crusade Raid, she'll probably need very high skill ranks to basically do more than what like a Tina or Maybelle would do. So fairly high investment, most likely. I haven't pulled one for one yet, but I will pull for one eventually. So yeah, my recommendation for most people, skip her unless you really want her for any of the reasons I stated before. Alright, now we're going to move on to Kosgaard. Now, Kosgaard I want to talk about because we're going to get the free copy of her in a few days. The event just started. And I think the question that a lot of people will be wondering is, can you use her, the free copy, and not worry about her skill ups? Unfortunately, the answer is no, and now I'm going to explain. So, for most transcended units, they will generally need at least some skill ups to make them usable for whatever purpose it is. For example, T-Starry in PvP, generally speaking, she needs to be at least rank 4 or 5. Transcendent Red needs rank 7. Transcendent Ophelia needs at least rank 6, preferably rank 10. Very high investment units. Kosgaard, unfortunately, is no exception, and so I'll go over her skills to explain why. Now, if you remember from last week, her two main features that make her so powerful in Crusade Raid is that she does a debuff which amplifies damage, and she also does a crit damage buff for your whole team, right? She obtains these at rank 4 and 5. So rank 4, she gets the amplified damage, and rank 5, she gets the crit damage boost. Prior to that, she just does her normal damage, and that's basically it. No support buffing or whatever, or debuffs at all. So basically, she's basically unplayable, like before rank 4. So I say that absolute minimum would be rank 4, but I think the recommended minimum is actually rank 5, because then you kind of want to have at least the crit damage boost to make her like worthwhile. Because I think the amplified damage alone may not be enough by itself. I'm not 100% sure about this, mostly because we have so much crit damage buffing already. But I think for one extra skill point, even though it is going to be quite a few pulls, I think it's worth getting it for this additional crit damage boost. It's a fairly significant amount for one skill up, right? Now, the upgraded versions of these, the amplified damage is at rank 8, and the crit damage is at rank 10. Now, the crit damage only goes up to 50%, up from 30%, so only a 20% gain, or like a raw 20% gain, I should say. And for the amplified damage, it goes from 7.5% to 15%, so basically doubled, quite significant amount. So for my recommendation, I would say the realistic skill up that you should go for if you are trying to get the most out of her is rank 8, because the amplified damage is the biggest part of her skill kit, right? It's its own multiplier. It's uncapped, right? Whereas obviously crit damage is capped to 999. Which you can only, actually, so I think it's 1,000, or actually I think it might be 1,000 exactly, but it can go over with crit damage cap from Transcendent Ilia, whereas this one is not an overcapped crit damage, it's just like raw crit damage buff, and with how much crit damage buffs we have these days, this may not do a lot. So for that reason, for me, I'm going to get her to rank 8, and if I really need the last 2 skill ups, then I'll just use the transcended reverbs that you can get from the monthly shop. You can buy some for a quote unquote discounted rate by handing in gold reverbs, right? So you're basically converting them up, and it's a discount compared to the usual rate from the commander's office. Honestly, it is a pretty significant amount, but um, realistically, I don't think anyone would really want to convert gold reverbs into transcendent tickets, like transcendent reverbs directly at a 1 to 10 rate. That is like outrageous price. But if you just buy the discounted ones every month, that's like a lot more reasonable, at least, right? That's what I've been doing, at least. So yeah, worst case scenario, I'll just get her to rank 10 that way. That way, I don't have to spend too much money trying to get to rank to like the higher ranks. But yeah, that is Kosgaard in a nutshell. So bare minimum, I would say rank 5, and then like recommended like high like for like crusade mains, I would say go for rank 8. Now, additionally, we've got another new unit from the side story, which you get from doing uh, the achievement, right? You have to clear like some portion of the second half. You don't have to do the whole thing, but after a certain chapter, you'll be able to get a free copy of Heine, and then you also get her skill ups from both the achievements and also from the shop. So you just buy all those, and you can get her to rank 9. To get her to rank 10, you just have to buy her or craft her resonance gear from your commander's office. Simple enough, right? Now, I think she's pretty good. Personally, I think that she has pretty good potential. She scales off armor and attack and does fixed damage, right? Even though the fixed damage amount probably won't be super high, but I think it's should be pretty decent if you pair her with a Lena buff, because you're going to get bonus armor from Lena, and naturally she's also going to buff herself with armor. At max rank, it's 30%, and then she has a natural 5% plus another 5 from her self affinity. So that's 40% for her own self buffing, and then you just add Lena's armor on top. Worst case scenario, you can also add a meso if you still need more armor. And the high armor will allow her to survive things like clock reflex and stuff like that. And hopefully the fixed damage is enough to kill units with the Lena buff. And yeah, she also, worst case scenario, she can also steal buffs, or not steal, but like she'll copy buffs from the enemy target. So I would say if you're going to run her, try to run her a little bit like in the middle of your turn order, or like later on, so that hopefully the unit that you're attacking has some sort of buff on it by then. And then she's also like immune to weakening, which is quite nice. And then after her attack, she'll refresh all the buff durations back to the max duration. At least that's how I read it here for her abilities. And yeah, so I think she is usable, right? Definitely usable, and I think worth testing out if you need like a fixed damage DPS. I think Her Majesty's still going to be better, but I think she could compete with her, right? Or like in Cosmic Raid, oh sorry, not Cosmic Raid, like Cosmic Showdown, having an extra fixed damage option is quite useful to have. Quite likely to be better than Skadi, especially because she doesn't have to sacrifice her own health, and probably a bit more durable as well with all the armor that she's getting. So I think she is a pretty nice character and worth like considering to use, right? I will probably build her eventually once I have enough materials. But those are the new units and more details of units from last week. So yeah, that is what we have for this week. Now, aside from that, obviously we got the part 2 of the side story, so you can do the rest of the story now. It is quite long. I will have to warn you that it's a lot of stamina to clear the whole thing. But yeah, you probably want to do that anyway. Also, there was a developer note, but I won't go into too much detail about it. The general gist of it was there's going to be a couple of new features. You'll be able to rewatch the previous side stories, like in sort of an archive kind of thing, which is quite nice. Something that the game really needed. And also, there's going to be like a skin gallery where all the skins that you've obtained, whether through purchases or monthly login or battle pass, you'll be able to see it all at one screen. and I guess you should be able to like browse through each unit and see it there, compared to having to sift through all your characters in your drivers section. It's kind of tedious. So you can like it basically just filters your cosmetics only, right? And there are some other things like they're trying to improve localization, which if you've watched all of my videos has been a pretty big issue. I've like noticed so many uh, translation errors and just incorrect skill descriptions as well. Hopefully they fix all those so that it makes the game a bit easier to understand for newer players. But yeah, that is mostly what has been going on for both the update and the dev note. If you want to read more about the dev note, you can check the official Haze Reverb Twitter page or the main Discord. It's posted on both of those. Alright, so I'm going to leave it there. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.